Hey friends, let's get moving. We're gonna start out with our hands. So interlace your fingers and then turn your palms away from you and extend your arms straight out in front of you. Now, as you're doing this, really try to reach your thumbs down away from your pinky fingers and spread through your hands. Spread through the fingertips. Hopefully feel some stretch in your hands. I do, and that feels so good. I'm also pressing my index fingers back towards my chest. So feel into your hands and feel how you can maximize that stretch sensation there. Great, go ahead and relax. Shake out your hands. So you have a habitual way that you cross your fingers. For me, my right index finger is usually on top. So let's go ahead and switch it the other way, the weird way. So for me, my left index finger is on top now. We're gonna do the same thing. You're gonna reach your hands away from you, palms away from the chest. Spread through the fingers as much as you can. Keep your elbows as straight as possible without locking them. And then you're going to push forward with your hands so that your shoulder blades move away from one another on your back and you get a little rounding in your spine. And go ahead and drop your chin. Take some nice breaths into your back. Can you feel your back expanding and narrowing as you breathe? Chin up and release your hands down. Shake out your hands and then let's do the shoulders. Circle the shoulders and reverse. Just feeling the shoulder blades starting to wake up and slide a little bit on the upper back. Shake it all out. Take a head to toe shake, shake, shake. Okay, great. Now bring your hands to your hips, or you could bring your hands to your ribs if you need a little extra help contacting this part of your body. So we're going to keep the pelvis where it is, and we're just gonna slide the ribs to the right and slide the ribs to the left. So the bottom of the rib cage is staying parallel to the floor as you slide from side to side. Slide to the right. Slide to the left. 3 hops this time. No, we're not gonna hop. Not today. Just kidding. So as you're going here, shifting the ribs, sliding the ribs from side to side, notice if you can go further in one direction than the other. Just pay attention. There's no right or wrong. It's just good information to pay attention to. Last one. Okay, go ahead and bring your rib cage back to the middle. And now explore how you can take your rib cage forward and backward. So I'm gonna turn sideways to show you. So forward would be bringing your rib cage, so still parallel to the ground. The bottom of the rib cage is still parallel to the ground. Bringing it forward and then shifting it back. Okay, so it's not like this, which is a nice movement to have, but this movement is a little different than that. So we're starting with the bottom of the rib cage parallel to the ground, and you're sliding the rib cage forward and sliding the rib cage back. And if you are having trouble figuring out what in the world I'm talking about, no worries. If you've never done this before, it can take your body and your brain a minute to get connected. You can also try looking in a mirror while you're doing this so you have some visual feedback. Okay, last one, forward and back. Great, come back to center. Now, go ahead and lift your arms up. Stop where your arms stop, so we're not lifting the rib cage up. Your arms might be a little in front of your head, and that's okay. Take your right hand onto your left wrist and reach up through the left side of your body. Second step, shift your rib cage to the right. And then pull your left arm to the right across your body. Take some breaths here. Notice if your breath feels different. It might feel a little harder to breathe. We've really changed up what's going on in the torso. And if you're not used to breathing in this way, it could feel kind of weird. Now on your next exhale, we're gonna back out of this in steps in the reverse direction that we entered. So as we exhale first, we're gonna keep the ribs shifted to the right, but we're just gonna bring the arms straight back up and then bring the rib cage back to center. Okay, so that's a little bit different than what you might be used to for a side stretch. Let's go ahead and switch to the other side. So left hand takes the right wrist, and first we're gonna shift the ribs to the left, and then keeping the ribs shifted to the left, you're gonna start to take your arms over to the left as well. Seeing what it feels like to breathe here. Notice if it felt easier to do one side than the other. Okay, and let's back out in the same way we came in, or the reverse way that we came in. So you're gonna take your arms up first, but keep your ribs to the left. So arms come up first, and then the ribs come back to the center. Okay, go ahead and lower your arms down by your sides. Now we're gonna step the feet a bit wider. Turn your toes out wider than your heels, and you're gonna squat down. You can rest your hands on your thighs, on your knees. One thing I wanna caution you against though, this is kind of like the habitual way that my body wants to come into this pose. So let's bring attention to it. Let's make sure that we're staying neutral where we need to stay neutral. So I usually want to come into this pose like this, with my rib cage forward and my tailbone lifted. So if that's you too, take a moment with me to bring your pelvis into neutral. So that's your ASIS hip point and your pubic bone vertically aligned, and then your rib cage in neutral. Okay, so I'm going to keep that and just bend my knees. Okay, so hands to your knees. And then from here, we're gonna circle the rib cage. So we've figured out how we can take the ribs from side to side and from front to back. So now just connect all of those dots and go in a circle. Really see if you can clean out the cobwebs from the corners of the range of motion you have here. And reverse. If you need to give your legs a break, stand up and keep circling your ribs. Find what's kind, do what's going to be best for you. Notice if it's easier to make bigger circles in one direction than the other. Last one. Great. Stand up. Give your legs a little reprieve there. If they feel a little crampy, you can make soft fists and pummel your thighs or your hips. And then let's turn the toes in, bring the legs back towards one another. We're going to turn sideways now, coming up to the front of your practice space. Let's go ahead and, starting with the feet hip distance apart, take your left foot and draw a straight line back to the back of your mat. So we're coming to a lunge here. And again, we're going to bring the arms up. And here you're going to imagine like you're holding an imaginary beach ball. So start to shift your ribs from side to side, rib slide side to side, making sure that the bottom of the rib cage is still parallel to the ground. So it's a totally different thing to do a rib slide with your rib cage angling up towards the ceiling. So try to keep your ribs parallel to the ground. The bottom of the rib cage, I mean, parallel to the ground. And then bring in your rib slide. And as you shift from side to side, notice how that changes the sensation in the front of your left hip. Great. And then come back to center and step up to the front of the mat. And let's start on the other side now. So hip distance apart in the feet. The right foot traces a straight line back. Coming to a lunge again, making sure that you're starting with a neutral rib cage. So just letting the ribs drop, okay? And then take your arms up. You got your invisible beach ball. And we're gonna shift the ribs from left to right, sliding so that the bottom of the rib cage stays parallel to the ground as you go, and watching how the stretch sensation in the front of the right hip shifts or changes as you slide the ribs. Great. And come back to center and step back up to the front. Relax your arms. Take a full breath in and out. Okay, now shift your weight into your left foot, and you're gonna start to pick up your right knee and your right arm, and your leg and your arm are gonna kind of mirror one another. We're gonna move really slowly to open up and step this right leg all the way towards the back of the practice space. So you're gonna bring your knee and your arm up, and then as your arm starts to come out to the side, so does your knee. And then when you've maxed out the range of motion in your hip out to the side, that's when you can reach back and step towards the back of the mat. Okay, so your left foot is still pointing that way, and your right foot is pointing that way. Okay, so take your arms out wide and bend your front knee, and then clap your hands together and bend your right knee. And as you bend your right knee, you're gonna shift your hips back, and your left foot is probably gonna peel up off the ground. So we're gonna toggle back. Front knee bent, left knee bent, right leg straight, and then left leg straight, right knee bent, and we send the hips back. So to get to the left leg bent, we really want to push through the right heel so that we feel the outside of the right hip fire up and the arms come out, okay? So toggling back and forth. Here we go. For 3, 2, and last one. 1. Great. Okay, so from here, go ahead and pop your back heel up so you're facing the same direction as your left toes. Bring your hands to the ground and step to all fours. So you should be able to see the color of the ground in between your fingers. Spin your elbow creases forward in the same direction as your fingers. And then from here, push through your hands and feel your shoulder blades move apart. Feel your upper back broadening. Keep your fingers long and strong. If your wrists are bothering you today, you can always come up onto fists. Check in with the space between your shoulders and your ears. Are you shrugging your shoulders towards your ears to help spread the shoulder blades apart? If so, that means that you're maybe not really getting as much movement in the exact place that we're trying to right now. So if you're noticing that your shoulders are up towards your ears, go ahead and relax the push of the hands. Take a moment to let your shoulder blades slide into your back pockets. And then again, push through your hands and feel the shoulder blades blossom apart. And now take some breaths into your back. See if you can feel your back moving as you breathe. You know when you go to the doctor and they get out the stethoscope and they check your breathing, they do check a little bit in the front, but they mostly listen to your breath in the back of your body. That's where your lungs have the most room to expand because there's not a heart there blocking the way. Great, go ahead and relax. Let the shoulder blades move closer together. And now drop down onto your forearms. And we're just gonna floss the shoulders a little bit here. So keeping the forearms parallel, start to take your shoulders and your hips back without letting your elbows slide out. Go back any amount, and then you'll bring your shoulders forward of the elbows, and you can floss back and forth. And as you go here, if you have any extra attention to spare, you can focus on that feeling of the rotation of your upper arm bones. Does it feel like one arm has an easier time staying put here? Does it feel like one of your elbows wants to squeak out to the side a little bit? Now, go ahead and shift back. Take your shoulders back behind your elbows any amount. Your hips are moving back behind your knees as well. See if you can now push through your elbows to feel that spread in between the shoulder blades. And keep your shoulder blades in this same configuration, but now press into your hands and lift your elbows up. Ooh, I'm shaking. Okay, go ahead and slowly release your elbows down to the ground so that your forearms are still parallel. Give yourself a break. Give yourself a shoulder wiggle. So I don't know about you. Everybody's body is different and you might have a different experience in this exercise, but for me, holy triceps, Batman. Here we go again. Okay, so take a few moments to floss forward and back, making sure that we're also keeping the neck nice and long. I like to imagine that I'm holding a grapefruit between my chin and my chest. Okay, and go ahead and shift the shoulders back for our second attempt here. Okay, now press through your elbows. See if you can feel that spread between the shoulder blades. It might just be a little bit extra muscle activation. It might not even feel like your shoulder blades have actually moved. And then keep that spread through the shoulder blades. Press into your palms and float the elbows up. Oh, mercy. For 3, 2, and 1. Bring those elbows back down. Whew, mercy. Okay, so from here, come back into all fours. Feel like my arms are new arms now. My shoulders are new shoulders. Okay, curl your toes under, and we're gonna walk the feet back toward, or walk the hands back towards the knees to help us pop up onto the balls of the feet. And then clunk your heels down, having a deep, generous bend in the knees and the pelvis moving way back. As you exhale, press through the legs to stand up. And then just turn around. Okay, so that you're facing the other direction. Now we're gonna come back to that toggling back and forth with the legs movement that we did a minute ago. So you're gonna shift your weight into your right foot this time, and then your left arm and your left leg are gonna rise together. And then you're gonna start to take them open to the left. And when your left leg can't go out anymore, that's when it's gonna turn and reach back. And you're gonna step towards the very back of your practice space, okay? Arms are out wide. Your right foot toes are pointing that way, and your left foot toes are pointing that way, okay? Here we go. Arms are out, right knee bends, and then right leg straightens, hands clasped together. That right foot's gonna pop up as the left knee bends. And remember, we're really trying to send the hips back so that when we go to straighten the left leg, as we push into the left foot, we're feeling the outside of the left hip engage. And as we bend that right knee again, the arms split open wide. And so we're gonna toggle back and forth. Notice if you have one hip that feels like it is more awake than the other. So for me, this side, it feels sleepy. It feels like it's, I have to really encourage it and intentionally get it to contract. It's like the Wi-Fi signal from my brain to my hip is a little weak. I've only got one bar. Okay, one more. Great, here we go. So your right knee is bent. Go ahead and pop your left heel up and bring your hands down to frame your right foot, and then scoot your right foot out of the way and come back into all fours. Fingers spread wide, elbow creases point in the same direction as the fingers. So again, push through your hands and feel your shoulder blades come apart from one another. Now you have the option of you can scoot your knees back behind your hips and come into a low plank. Another variation, starting from all fours, is to step one foot back and then the other coming to a high plank. Keep your neck long and keep the shoulder blades moving apart. See how your breath is here. Notice how your abdomen, your abdominal muscles fire up instinctively as soon as you get into this position. For 3, 2, and 1. We're gonna lower all the way down to the belly now. You can put your knees down first if you want, and then lower all the way down. Okay, so from here, make sure I have enough room. Maybe take a moment to check in with your space and make sure you have enough room for your arms to go all around. Okay, so you can do this with your forehead resting on the ground. When I do that, it makes the microphone sound like Charlie Brown's teacher. So I'm going to keep my head up, and it adds a little bit of extra challenge as well. So if you are choosing this option of keeping your head up, make sure that you're coming to that idea of the grapefruit between the chin and the chest, and make sure that your back is happy with your choice. So again, find what's kind. Okay, so from here, go ahead and extend your arms back behind you. We're going to make fists with the thumbs out. So you're going to point your thumbs down and rest your thumbs on the ground. Shrug your shoulders up towards your ears, in towards the spine, and then tuck them down into your back pockets. If you can, press your pubic bone into the ground. And now you're going to kind of bounce with your thumbs. So if you're down here at like 6 o'clock, then you're going to bounce your hands out to like 5 and 7. And then you're going to bounce out again to about 4 and 8. And then when you get to 3 and 9, halfway up, here you're going to flip and turn your thumbs up. Now, as you flip and turn your thumbs up, feel the bottom tips of your shoulder blades firm into your upper back. And then we're going to keep on hopping up. So from here, you're going to hop up to 10 and 2, healthy driving habits, and then 11 and 1, and then 12 o'clock. And then let's go back down to 6 o'clock. Recommit to the tailbone, or not the tailbone, the pubic bone pressing into the mat if you need to. So from 12 o'clock, we're gonna go from 11 and 1, and then we're gonna bounce to 10 and 2, and then we're gonna bounce to 9 and 3. And when we get to 9 and 3, we're gonna pause, thumbs down, take your shoulder blades up towards your ears, in towards one another, and tuck them into your back pockets. And then let's keep going down towards 6. So we're going 8 and 4, 7 and 5, and 6 o'clock. Okay, go ahead and take a little rest. You can make a pillow with your hands if you haven't done that already. You can shake your hips a little, rock your hips a little from side to side. Now for this one, again, you might prefer to have your head resting on the ground or on a block, whatever is most comfortable for you. So find that press of your pubic bone into the ground. And I'm asking you to do that so that you're stabilizing where your pelvis is in space, because for this next move, I want us to just use our legs and hips without rocking on the pelvis or bending at the spine. So grounding your pubic bone is going to help us stay honest right there and inject the movement to where we really want it to go. So pubic bone is reaching down into the ground. You're trying to keep your pelvis super stable. Go ahead and lift your left leg up away from the ground, any amount. And notice what muscles turn on in your left leg as you do that. Okay, go ahead and put your left leg down and go over to the right leg. Lift your right leg up away from the ground. As you lift your right leg up, continue pushing the pubic bone into the ground. And then let's put the right leg down, go back to the left, lifting the left leg up. Just go back and forth. And as you go, as you lift the leg, watch and notice which muscles are turning on to help you. It's up to you how high you would like to lift your leg. I find that when I first start out, my muscles need to kind of wake up a little bit before they're able to take my leg into its fullest range. So as I go along, I think, oh, now I can figure this out. Now I can lift my leg higher than it was before the first time. So keep going there for 3, 2, and 1. Okay, relax your legs, rock your hips from side to side. Okay, so from here, we're gonna roll over onto the back. So coming to your back, bend your knees and put the soles of your feet on the ground. Reach down with your fingertips and see if you can let your fingertips kiss your heels. There we go. Okay, so as you exhale, go ahead and lift your hips away from the ground. And as you inhale, set your hips back down. Exhale to lift, inhale to lower. So there are so many ways to lift your hips up and down away from the ground. There are so many variations. So today, one variation that we are going to work on is getting a lot of articulation in our spine. So go ahead and lift your hips up and notice which part, hold your hips up in the air and notice which part of your spine is the last part to make contact with the ground, okay? The last vertebra that is on the ground, right before the next one is lifted as a part of your hips being up. So now we're gonna try moving one vertebra at a time. So that's probably not actually what's happening, but that's the cue that we're gonna use to help us think about making this a slow, micro movement that's really progressive, taking our time, going one little bit at a time. So feeling into your spine, see if you can then bring the next vertebra down to the ground. And not only just bringing it down to the ground, can you press it into the ground? And if you think about pressing that vertebra into the ground, notice how your abdomen reacts, how your abdominal muscles react to that, that task. And you'll continue working your way down, one vertebra at a time, super slow, trying to get the next little bit of the spine to press into the ground each time, watching as you go how the abdominal muscles, how the pelvic floor responds to the task at hand. Keep breathing. And as you get right to the lower back, the low back, right before the spine becomes the pelvis, that's where things are probably going to try to move as one chunk. And we want to try to differentiate as much as we can here. So go slowly and really feel into your body. When my low back is feeling a little spicy, if you will, rusty, stiff, whatever word you want to use to describe it, this is one of my go-to moves, because when my lower back hurts, I'm going to use air quotes there because it's not always pain. Sometimes it's a really unique sensation. It stiffens up, and I know that when I can help it to move, it feels better. And this is the one thing that I've been doing lately that's really worked. So once you've gotten to the very last vertebra, or what you sense is the very last vertebra, and then you're there at the back of the pelvis, go ahead and let the back of the pelvis press into the ground, but not the tailbone, and then relax. Take a full breath. Okay, we're gonna do that one more time. So go ahead and lift your hips up away from the ground. And again, sense which part of your spine is the last part that's on the ground. Okay, and then you're gonna go to the vertebra below that. When I say below that, I mean inferior to that, closer to your feet, okay? Go to that next vertebra, that next segment of your spine, and see if you can press it into the mat. Snaking your way down in super slow motion. Remember, we're not just setting down one vertebra at a time. We're trying to press that vertebra into the ground. And as we do that, we're paying close attention and watching to see what the abdominal muscles are doing as a result. And when you get to the low back, again, that's when things get a little stickier maybe, and you have to really commit to segmenting the spine. And then when you get to the back of the pelvis, make sure you give that a press in there, but don't continue down to the tailbone. Stay right there and relax. Take a full breath in and out. Great. Okay, so from here, let's take a little stretch for our hips. Cross your left ankle over your right thigh. Maybe you stay there. Maybe you float the right foot up off the ground. You can do a hands-free version like this with your arms just relaxing on the ground. You can rest your hands on your right knee. You can thread your hands through and interlace on the front of the right shin or behind the right thigh. Whatever works for you. The hands-free one feels really well to me today, so I'm going to stick with that. And enjoy another full breath in and out here, letting your bottom relax. And let's switch now to the other side. So go ahead and put your right foot down and your left foot down. Full breath in and out. Now right ankle over your left thigh. Maybe you stay there. Maybe you pick your left foot up. And again, choose one of those variations for your arms. Whatever feels most comfortable, whatever feels most kind to your body today. Let your bottom relax for a nice another deep breath. And then let's release the left foot down and the right foot down. So if you are feeling so mellow and you want to hang out here and rest, go for it. You just do that. If you're ready to move on from your day, go ahead and roll over and sit up. I hope you feel great after that nice wake up for the spine and the abdominal muscles. I am so proud of you for committing to move today and committing to yourself. I'll see you next time.